What up, guys? It's Phil with Phil's Lawn Care.
Hey, it's Aaron with the Mowing in the Dark Lawn Care Podcast.
Hey guys, Cameron here with the Lawn Care Life of Missouri.
Hey everyone, this is Evan with Turf Nerds, a lawn care podcast.
Hey guys, this is Dan White with Lawn Care Unscripted.
And you're listening to the Lawn Care Talk with Tony Rudolph.
What's up, guys? Hope you're doing great. It's an awesome day, and I appreciate we have me and River are out in the garage.
Yeah.
And we have a brand new friend on the line. It's early in the morning, even an hour earlier for him. And we're out in the garage and we're doing this. So introduce yourself to us, bud. Tell us a little bit about who you are, what state you live in. We'll go into your business a little bit.
Absolutely. So my name's David Luna. My wife and I own a business called Long Strong out of an area right outside of San Antonio, Texas, in a little town called Bernie. And I'm in third year of our business and specialized strictly in fertilization and weed control. And my story, I think, is unique, Tony. And I have to tell you first, I'm a little starstruck here. I've listened to you for so long on podcasts. I feel like I've known you. And I'm talking to somebody, very, very famous. So I appreciate the opportunity to chat with you this morning.
Well, it's not true that I'm famous. I'm really not famous. I mean, not at all. I'm just a regular lawn guy, sitting out here at a plastic table in my garage working on trying to tally up some of last year's taxes and, for business. Yep. And that's what I'm working on early this morning. And then now here we are doing this.
I love it.
Yeah.
I reached out to you and I appreciate the ability to have this chat. And, I wanted to share a story that I think is unique and that I think your listeners would appreciate. But there's a lot of alignment between you and I that I wanted to start off with and just say that I have loved your story from day one. I love that you have a long history in the lawn business, going back to your dad. But, what always has impressed me about you is your very, very Christ-centered belief and walk and unapologetic way that you share that on your podcast almost every time. I love that. I'm the same way.
Amen. Yes, sir. Yeah.
For a long time. I love that you intentionally run your business with a very tight circle of clients. I believe focusing in one or maybe two neighborhoods. I do the same thing. And you're a solo operator, as I am. I will talk about the 75 properties that I closed my 2025 business with, and I'm really proud of. And then I'm a fan of Dave Ramsey. I think I hear you talk about Dave Ramsey and follow those guidelines as well very successfully, and I applaud you for it.
Yeah. We're in whatever it is, step 7, right?
Yeah.
So
that's awesome, man. I love it. So, first and foremost, that's what I want to say. I'm very intentional in everything that I do, and I love when I meet people, whether it's via podcast or in person, that have very common traits that I do, and it just makes the conversation easier, I think. But I want to share my story with your listeners, how I spent 38 years in corporate America in various leadership roles, marketing, advertising, communication.
Hang on. Before you go into the story, you just kind of intro, it sounds like you're kind of in the background. Do you want to, because I want people to hear this story, do you want to try it again without the lanyard?
Yeah, absolutely. Let me do that.
Yeah, guys, I want you to hear this. He's important, and this first part, he's talking about that he just appreciates that we honor God, honor Jesus with what we do in our lives, and that we follow Dave Ramsey. And that he appreciates how we run our business in a tight route. I had total miles on my truck last year. That was one of the things I was tallying up this morning. 7,907 miles.
Wow.
And
that's
so that's I feel like that's great, when I see those miles going down. That means I'm running less far,
Yep.
But anyway, keep talking. Sorry, it does sound a little better now. So keep going with your, start on the story part. I was just trying to fill in the dead air while you're switching your phone.
I appreciate that. That's why I think you're a rock star, buddy. You know how to do that kind of stuff. So, I started this business after having worked 38 years in corporate America and in various leadership roles, My education and background happens to be in business with a focus in marketing and advertising. And I had the privilege of running in big teams in all areas of marketing, communications, printing, procurement, sales, you name it. I did it for insurance and financial services companies, as well as grocery retail. And as often happens in corporate America, and we all know one day it'll happen, in 2023, I was laid off.
Oh, wow.
And I was blessed to actually be able to qualify for retirement from that company due to the amount of time worked and my age. And it was an unexpected blessing. And, I'm not a young person. I love listening to all the podcasters, but I think I align more with like an Andy Wilson from the Lawn Hustle. He's I think in his 60s. I'm 60. I'll be 61 here in about 3 weeks.
Oh, that's awesome.
And
You're not even broke in yet.
I'm not even, yeah. And I'm just, I've always had a passion for lawn care. I like to tell my story that I've always been that one guy in the neighborhood that just dominates everybody, and the husbands hate, and the women nudge their husbands and say, why can't our lawn look like that? So I've always been that guy, and I've always educated myself on how to do better or be better at the lawn care side. And long story short, when I decided to not go back to corporate America, my faith tells me, hey, there's no such thing as retirement. What are you going to do? How are you going to continue to give back? How are you going to continue to be part of a community? Because I think that's what we're called to do. And at the encouragement of my wife, she said, you ought to start a business, a lawn care business. And I said, honey, I'm not young enough anymore to be able to push a lawnmower. And she says, no, just focus on fertilization, weed control. That's where most people miss it. And she's a marketer like I am. That's what she does for a living still. She still works. And I said, you know what? I don't think there's enough interest in just that. But as a marketer, let's just test the waters, right? So in our neighborhood Facebook page, I put out a feeler and said, hey, I've got some extra time on my hands. And if anybody's interested, I've got the ability to do about 10 lawns in the next month, and happy to help anyone who's struggling with not having a lush lawn or too many weeds. And lo and behold, I had like 15 people overnight said, yes, please come help. And that started the what I call the validation that we had something here. And because I had listened to podcasts before in the industry, I already knew things like route density. I already knew things about how to be laser focused on what you do and not say yes to everything. And we quickly put together a business plan and said, we're going to focus on just our neighborhood. I'm not going to go outside of our area. We've got a neighborhood of about 600 homes. And we started focusing there. And like I said, last year, I ended up with 75 lawns that I serviced every single month, primarily for fertilization and weed control. And I'm loving it.
That's incredible. So you're not even doing mowing. You're just doing the treatment side of that. Isn't that cool, River? What do you think about that?
What's that?
Yeah, I think that's cool.
So you're just doing the weed control fertilization, which is a huge part in Texas. So and definitely it's huge here in Georgia. What type of so you're not in the part of Texas? I've never been to Texas, but you're not in the part like where grass is like hard to grow, like it's super dry, or are you a part where it has good water and stuff?
No, I mean, we struggle with everything you just mentioned, and what I try to tell my clients and my neighbors is that you can really help yourself by doing some basic things like, feeding the lawn right. I said, I equate it to your own diet as a human being, right? It's like, if you only feed yourself once a month, how do you think you're going to feel? Well, you're going to feel great initially when you first eat, and then you're going to slowly just decline. I said, we starve our lawns so often, and we don't help ourselves with the conditions that exist in Texas, which is very dry years, high heat, and I'm all about, the company name Lawn Strong is about creating healthy lawns. So not only do I fertilize, I augment things with like humic, molasses, sea kelp kind of feeding, so that I can actually feed the soil and feed the roots in addition to just the fertilizer. And it's really taken off. And what I like about your podcast, Tony, is you're really good about sharing the how. How did you achieve this, that, and the other. And the reason for my outreach is I think there's my years of experience in corporate America with procurement, marketing. That's how I've been able to get this business off the ground so fast without any real advertising. I don't market. I don't go.
Oh, that's
do
great.
door-
Yeah.
I don't knock on doors. It really has come from two things. And the first thing is my wife and I are marketers. I told you that. We really talk about who's our target market. Who is it that we're trying to reach? Whether it's a marketing campaign for corporate America or this is our own business. And we quickly did an analysis and understood our neighborhood. We are blessed to live in a neighborhood that has a high level of income, education level, high disposable income for services, and just really started to understand who do we live among, right? We know a couple of neighbors here and there, but did some basic research and found out that the majority of our neighbors are white collar professionals in corporate America, as well as in medical, and they own businesses. We're in a neighborhood where the average income is $200,000 in the household. And these are individuals that like to have nice things, but don't have the time to do it themselves, right? So building this profile, I could quickly start to put together our business model and just leverage all the things that I've always done. So immediately I said, I don't want to be chucking the truck, right? We throw that term out, but I want to be Dave for the saved. Right. So I always tell folks, I'm the guy you're going to call when everything else has failed. I'm in for the save. Right. So my name's David, Dave for the save. That's kind of the terminology I use sometimes. But I knew that.
What do you mean by that? Explain that. Cause I don't, for guys, what do you mean Dave by the save?
Dave for the save.
For the
right.
save.
So you're going to call me to save your lawn. So I'm not just a chuck in the truck that shows up. And,
right.
And,
okay.
Basics. I'm coming with knowledge. I'm coming with tools, in my bag, if you will, that will show you that your lawn can be healthy. So I have clients that call me and say, David, I'm ready to tear this lawn up and just resod it. What do you recommend for new sod? And I learned a long time ago in business, you ask more questions before you just offer solutions. So I'll start asking them. So tell me about your lawn. How do you use it? Are you just wanting it to be a show, or are you needing lusher lawn for your kids to play on? And as I start to peel back the layers, I find out that they don't fertilize, they don't aerate, they don't do anything at all to really help the lawn be what it can be. And they've got good turf. They just have turf that's starving. So I say, can you give me 90 days and put you on my program and show you what a difference 90 days can make? And in 90 days, I can turn that lawn that looks starved and just thin, and I can turn it into something that is just unbelievably lush and healthy and thriving. And I'm saving them a lot of money by not having to resod. And I'm building and adding to my reputation of, hey, this guy knows what he's doing. He's not just out here trying to sell me a prepackaged program for fertilization. I pretty much tailor my services based on what the lawn needs and based on the turf type.
So you mentioned that you're a marketer and stuff like that. So what avenue did you use to build up these clients? What actually did you use? Was it like your Google business profile? Was it flyers?
Great question. Yeah, and this is how we did it. So as I started to look for ways to build the business, I didn't want to hire a sales team. I didn't want to necessarily try the things that are common for our industry because I knew I wanted to focus on just my neighborhood. So backing up to 11 years ago when we moved into this neighborhood, like I said, I've always dominated lawns in my neighborhood. So I am that guy that just takes over and just has the most beautiful lawn. And I always had people stopping, walking by in the evening, say, man, what are you doing? Your lawn's so beautiful. I can't even get mine to, wake up. And I would share and tell them, I use this fertilizer today and I'm spraying this kind of product on it today. And, at this time of year, you want to put down a pre-emergent as well. And we have a very robust Facebook neighborhood page. So because of my faith, I'm always about, hey, how can I share not just the word, but how can I share what I've learned, what God's blessed me with in terms of knowledge? So I started a post every month on our neighborhood page saying, hey, lawn PSA, this is what I recommend for your lawns in our neighborhood. Hey, we got an extra dry season. Make sure you're watering a little longer than normal. And I just started sharing the recipe. And I quickly learned in that time that people were just taking this information in and sending me little comments saying, thank you so much. It's really made a difference. So when we launched the business, I just told my wife, I said, that's the main channel we're going to use. This is where our audience is. Yes, I could do a Google ad. Yes, I could do other traditional means of advertising. But in marketing, your ultimate focus is how do you target Tony? You go, how do I want to know Tony better, and I want to target him so I can send him information that is relevant to him and not necessarily 50 other people that look and kind of sort of are like Tony, right? So we already had the golden ticket here with the Facebook page. And when I launched the business and said, hey, I've got time for 10 people that I can help, I already had credibility with the neighborhood. And from there, I still continue every month. I still post my post and tell people this is what you need to do. And I know that my neighbors don't have the time. They're busy. They're still working, their 9 to 5 jobs, putting in 60 hours a week, trying to balance that with kids' soccer games, baseball games, whatever. And they just want somebody to come into their home and take care of it. And so we kind of tailored our marketing to focus around word of mouth. Once we get a client, we keep them happy. They tell another neighbor, and next thing you know, my phone rings. And I literally have grown the business that way. People call me. I rarely go out and say, hey, I'm going to leave you, a card and give me a call if I can help you. It's the other way around. They reach out to me, and you couldn't ask for a better introduction than a neighbor touting your success.
And that's cool. And in that, you're not relying on algorithms or Google, and it didn't cost you money. All you're doing is just trying to offer people value. Hey, I see this going on in the neighborhood. Hey, this is, whatever it is that you're talking about. And how cool is that? For guys out there, I mean, that you didn't even spend money doing that. You just took time to try to dig into these different groups in the neighborhoods that you wanted to be in, and then once you're in these neighborhoods, I'm sure you're talking to people, waving at people, walking their dogs, try to make interactions with people that you can when you're there in real life. That's what I try to do in the neighborhoods I'm in, and that pays dividends as well.
Huge dividends, absolutely.
Because if someone walks by with their dog and say, hey, how you doing? Good morning, or whatever time of day it is, they may not hire you for their lawn right then, but 5 years later, they need someone for their lawn, and you already kind of broke the ice with them right then,
Exactly. And the other thing too, Tony, I don't ever show up on someone's property without a branded shirt. So being a marketer, being an advertising person, I know the absolute leverage and value in branding yourself. So I created my own logo because I have an advertising degree. So I did that for years. So I created my own logo. I established my color palette, and then I immediately went and bought shirts, embroidered my logo on the shirts, embroidered my logo on my caps. I have a very distinct color palette in terms of how I dress and my truck. And so I'm always.
Can you go into the truck setup for us? The spray setup, because guys, that's interesting to me and everyone out there. Like, what exactly do you pull a trailer around the tank on it? What kind of truck do you have? Is it like a built-on? What does it look like? Kind of go into all that,
I just have a basic, truck, GMC truck, full cab, and I carry an Echo RB60 spreader. So I have the ability to put 60 pounds of fertilizer in the hopper, and I show up with multiple bags of fertilizer. Not all the same, because not all my clients have the same turf type, nor are they in the same condition. So I may have a high nitrogen based fertilizer bag, but I also may have one that has higher potassium or phosphorus. And then I'll carry soil augmentation treatments like molasses or sea kelp or humic that I may spray on the lawn. And then I'll carry 2 4-gallon backpack sprayers that keep a herbicide in it, and all of that is in my truck. I don't pull a trailer. There's a lot
So
of
you, so
traffic.
you don't even have like a spray truck like with liquid.
No.
Like you're just have a regular pickup truck. That's cool for guys out there.
Yeah. Again, and it's intentional, right? So I knew eventually I would probably grow the business to where I might need something like that. But what I have found going from 15 clients to 20 clients to 35 and now 75, I can do this just by myself with not a real elaborate setup. So again, you're cutting cost. I'm blessed. My truck's paid for. The spreaders are $150.
Right.
All that. So you're keeping costs down. I wanted to see how much can I leverage before I have to really invest in equipment. So
are you filling them up like at your house and then going down like this backpack sprayers, or do you fill up at their house, or like how does that work?
Always at my house. I show up ready to take care of business at their home. I'm not mixing anything on site. I am just opening them a bag of fertilizer, dumping it in my hopper, and then let's go to town. And I take care of the lawns. And in my neighborhood, we have a mix of homes, everything from quarter acre to half acre lawns. And I do about 25 of those 75 lawns are half acre, and then the remainder are quarter acre. So I'm in control of my schedule. So every time I schedule, I'm staying on a single street. I'm knocking out 5 to 10 lawns on that street on that particular day or morning. And I'm just really focused on how can I move the truck the least amount of times, but knock out the most homes as possible.
And how do you make a living with only 75 fertilization clients? You know what I mean? That's another,
So great question. So the other thing that I wanted to do when I started this business, I wanted to establish it as a high end, right? So most of my clients have tried the other national fertilizer providers, the Chem Lawns, the True Greens, and they're frustrated. They're not getting results. So I come in and say, look, I'm going to tailor a program that's just specifically for your lawn. And my average bill rate for these homes is $180. So they're paying a premium for my service, but I'm also delivering results. So at that 75 homes at that bill rate, it's a nice sort of living. But because I've worked already in corporate America, I'm not trying to get rich. I'm not trying to build this humongous business. I'm trying to stay busy. I'm trying to stay healthy and active, and I'm trying to give back to my community and beautify my neighborhood. So the numbers, it's a 6-figure business, which I love, and I have a very tight control of all of my expenses. So having run businesses, Tony, I have a spreadsheet for everything. So I can tell you when I go out and show up at a home and I have a tank of herbicide in my truck, to deliver that herbicide and spray it, I can spray 4 gallons, and that's a $12.25 expense.
Right.
So I know exactly what I'm spending down to the penny. And it really, when you talk about know your numbers, that's another way I've done this business. I know my numbers like the back of my hand.
And so how many treatments per year are you doing?
So I'm showing up to these people's lawns every month between March and November. In Texas, that is the growth season. Outside of December, January, and February, our lawns should be dormant. Now we're having a weird year this year. We haven't even gotten into freezing temperatures yet, so the lawns are a little confused. But March to November, I'm showing up once a month, and I'm applying either a fertilizer or some kind of soil augmentation treatment, or something like that. So they're monthly services. Every client gets treated monthly one way or the other.
So how many lawns do you have now?
75. And my goal is to add another 20 in 2026 to take that to about 95 lawns this year. Great question.
And then are you able to get those 75? Are you able to build those up like just in your neighborhood, or are you kind of like, are they 100%. Just kind of?
I've only had 2 people drop me from when I started this business, and it was because they moved out of the neighborhood. So I keep the same clients every year. This year, like I said, my goal is to add another 20 lawns to beautify my neighborhood and focus. And I've already got 5 of those 20 already in the bag, so I got to work on the remainder. And it's when you're purposeful in the work that you do and you really understand what you're trying to do, it's amazing how quickly you can create synergy and create a work that you really are passionate about. I hear about you, and I can hear your passion through your voice, how much you enjoy it. Now it's work. No, I get that, but I'm a lot healthier. I'm a lot happier and a lot more pleasant to be around managing 75 lawns by myself than I ever was managing corporate teams.
Right.
And all
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
go with it, you know. So, and again, I couldn't do this if my wife wasn't still working. So
Right. Right.
she is still working. She's 10 years younger than me, and we're a great team.
Well, and,
she
and you
carries-
also have some money coming from the old job too, right? So that helps as well.
Yeah, well, that's the beautiful part. I've yet to touch any of my retirement, because
that's
we are
great.
we're Dave Ramsey followers. We've been following those principles our entire marriage, and we didn't overbuy in our home. We didn't buy the highest home we could buy back in the day. You really are trying to live below your means so that you can live like nobody else in the future, right? That's the motto, and we've practiced that. So I haven't had to do anything different. I haven't had to dip into any of my retirement at all or any of my investments. I'm just doing this not for fun. I'm really trying
Right.
to help neighbors improve their lawns, right? But in the meantime, I'm making a good margin. I target about a 92% gross margin, and then the profit margin lands about 68%. So
Yeah, that's awesome. That's great, and that is so cool for guys out there. I mean, you're literally doing it, and you don't have a fancy big spray truck. Like, you're doing it with a pickup truck. Couple, you have much less invested than even guys that have like a mowing setup.
right, exactly. And that was the key. I mean, that was intentional. Again, I told my wife, said I don't want to go and buy a trailer and all these other things. I could have got a spray tank. My supplier has tried to sell me a spray tank setup the last 2 years, and I just tell them, no, I really like the ability to control with granular fertilizer the outcome that I'm trying to achieve. My customers have already tried the folks that show up in their home and roll out the reels of hose and spray, and they have a bad association with that. They have a negative association with that, right? So.
And so, do you have like pallets of fertilizer like in your home garage, or how are you doing that?
So I started off by actually just going and picking up, bags for the week at my supplier. And today, and last year, I was pulling 50-pound bags per month. So I ran out of space in my garage to put the pallets. So going back to my corporate career in procurement, when I was purchasing supplies for various clients,
Is that what procurement means?
Yeah, procurement is you're basically a purchasing manager. You're managing, the raw materials for whatever you're buying, the things you need to buy. So I knew from my experience in those years that there was opportunities that I could leverage with my supplier. So I went to my supplier. And I use a company called Ewing's here in Texas.
Yeah, we have that too. Yeah, I mean, it's not.
Okay.
There's probably one. It's probably an hour away. So I mean, I don't use it frequently, but
mine's pretty close. And I went to them and I said, look, here's my situation. I'm a single, a proprietary owner, a business owner, and you see the volume that I'm pulling. They're like, yeah, you're one of our heavy users. I said, what if I prepaid for my fertilizer every month, but you store it for me in your racks, and I come and get it as I need it? And they were like, yep, we can do that for you, David, no problem. And because you're going to prepay it, you actually get a little discount because we're not having to break down that pallet and put it on the floor for other customers. So it was a big win. So it's called Kanban. The process is called Kanban. So I basically go and every month I show up at my supplier. I prepay for my fertilizer up front, and they store it and they put a sign on their fertilizer on the rack that says, reserved for Lawn Strong. And that's kind of how I manage the inventory issue or space lack of in my garage. So I worked that out real quick. And, the other thing with the volume, Tony, one thing I did, because again, knowing what I know from my experience in procurement, I went to them early on. I said, what are the volume tiers I have to achieve in terms of purchasing fertilizer from you to get the next discount level? In other words, I know the retail price for the bag is, $30, but I know if I buy enough volume in a given month, that $30 can be $25 a bag. And I'll never forget, the guy looked at me, he goes, no one's ever asked me that. He goes, you're smart for asking that, Dave. So if you bought another 10 bags, addition to what you're buying now, the discount drops to 10% less, and so on and so forth. So I started to leverage that as I'm going out and looking for new business and the right accounts. I'm looking at how can I add another 10 bags of volume purchase every month so I can get that next discount and add to my margin in terms of profit to my business.
So when you pull up to your lawn, someone else's lawn, do you put out cones or do you have like a strobe light kit or something?
That's great, because great question, River. So because I drive a pickup truck, there really isn't there's nothing sticking out outside of a normal vehicle. So I don't even put a cone out or anything. I just get out of my truck. Once I get my equipment out, I close up the tailgate and off I go. As I get bigger and start to think about maybe getting some help, that's going to be a procedure that I probably will add if people start to work for me. Great question.
Are you parking like on the side of the road, or are you pulling in the driveway, or what?
I'm pulling right up to the front of the house on the street.
Oh, okay.
And I look for
River. Their houses are probably a little close to the road, and they like pull side of the street. That'd be my guess in a neighborhood.
Correct. Yeah, I do a couple of properties that are acreage, 1 acre or greater, and in those homes, I have permission to pull up into their driveway and do the treatments. But most of my homes are typical subdivided neighborhood. They're 75 feet to 100 feet from the street, so I just pull up on the street and park.
Well, go ahead, River.
How long are most of the driveways?
So most of the driveways are going to be about 100 feet long. It just depends on if I'm doing a large yard or a small yard. And I can turn a property. If it's a small yard, I can do that property in a matter of 15, 20 minutes, do the fertilizer and the weed control treatment. After I've established that lawn, I can turn them and real fast. So 15, 20 minutes. And then most of my route, I'll have a house either across the street, also the street, or one house over. So I just walk to the next one. I just keep on doing it. I never move my truck again for 3 or 4 lawns.
That's awesome. So that is so cool, and so you're able to do it pretty quickly. What about in the future, if you do more lawns? Don't you think it would be really helpful to get one of those? I see a lot of guys, because we have big lawns here. A lot of guys in my area have, one of the sprayers that they can stand on it, so it can fling,
Absolutely. That's exactly where I'm at today. So I have my supplier looking for what is the entry level version of a automated spreader for me. They've got a big one that they have on the floor, but it's too big for the small properties that I have. So I got to fit through. Looking to find me a solution for that, because I'm at that point. So just to give you an idea, I walk 20,000 steps per day when I do my typical route. So I'm walking about 6 miles a day, which is fantastic for my health. I mean, I'm 61 years old, and I'm out. I can do better in terms of conditioning than people half my age, and I love it. My blood pressure used to be real high, Tony, when I worked in corporate America. Even with medication, I couldn't get it down. Now it's below normal because I'm getting so much exercise and I'm outside and I'm not stressed, as much as I used to be. And that walking, I want to keep some of it. I don't want to lose all of it. But for my larger properties, or as I get more volume, I know that I can add some automation. That's on my list this year to figure out how to do that.
Yeah, because right now, I mean, you're walking, you're doing the amount of walking probably you would do if you were doing a mowing service. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. And you asked me earlier, do I mow any lawns? And I'm sure you know, because once you get your client's trust, they ask you, hey, can you do this, or do you know anybody who can do that? I was being asked very early on, David, will you mow my lawn? I see how you mow yours, and it's beautiful. Can you mow mine? And I always said no. And I had one client a couple of years ago that was very insistent. Said, look, can you mow my lawn? And this is how this started. This gentleman hired me to treat his lawn with fertilization. They were out of the country on vacation. I treated the lawn, the front yard and backyard, and I texted him when I was done. I said, I'm all done, sir. Everything looks good. However, I'm not sure when your mowing service is coming, but your backyard is really high. And if it doesn't get mowed in the next week, make sure they don't mow it too low, because that'll damage it. Well, he texted me back the next morning. He says, you know what? We're out of the country, and I don't have anybody who's mowing my lawn right now. I can't get a hold of them. They're not calling me back. Can you mow it for me? And I'm like, you know what? As a neighbor, absolutely. Let me take care of it for you. And I mowed their lawn. Well, I mowed it the way I mow my personal lawn. Real crisp edges. I striped my lawn with a lawn striper. And that's how I mowed it. That's the only way I know how to mow a lawn. Well, they got back from vacation. He calls me back. He goes, David, he goes, my wife loved what you did. She wants to know what it would take in terms of price for you to mow our lawn every month. And I just told him, I said, sir, that's not what I do. That's not my business model. He goes, please, David, my wife insists on it, and I want to keep her happy as much as possible. And I just told him, I said, look, here's the deal. I'm sure the average rate in mowing and for you is $50. I said, this is not a $50 mow. I manicure lawns. I manicure my lawn. If I were to do this lawn for you, this is $125 a mow. And he didn't bat an eye, and he said, no problem. When can you start? So I have him and two other people that I mow their lawns once a month in addition to fertilizer as a test. I wanted to see if I could position a premium cut, and if my neighbors would be willing to pay for a premium cut. And I have 3 people that pay me that every month and don't bat an eye.
Oh, that's awesome. So that's so cool. So you you have a small fertilization weed control business, but you also have a tiny little mowing business where you're doing a couple properties, which is really, really cool. So that's neat.
It is neat, because here's the deal. I was blessed to have 5 daughters, and I have no sons, right? So they don't want my daughters don't want anything to do with this business. I told them, I said, I'm building this so I can pass it on to y'all one day. But one of my daughters is married to a nice young man, good faith-filled young man. Another one is engaged. Another one has a boyfriend. So my intention is, I tell my son-in-laws, hey, if you want a little side hustle for extra pocket money, come see me. I can teach you how to manicure a lawn the way I do, and you can charge $125 a mow if that's what you want to do. And I've got one son-in-law that's interested, and he's helped me a couple of times. I don't have an interest to have strictly a mowing division to where I'm doing it, but I can definitely teach someone how to do that. So I don't know what the going rate for mows are in your area, but here $125 a mow is unheard of. Most of the guys that are in our neighborhood are charging $50, $60 a mow.
Yeah, that's incredible. But I think for the title of this episode, we could put 75 spraying accounts, $100,000 business or something like that. That's really cool. Which, I mean, even if you have a couple mows in there, still that still is crazy. That it's great that you're able to turn those kind of numbers, because most people will say, hey, you got to have 500 spraying accounts to make it worth it.
Sure.
But you're doing it, and you don't even have a tank truck or any of these things.
No, and really what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to teach others and share how I'm doing it. That isn't a grandiose expense up front, right? You don't have to go and buy all new stuff and all this. I mean, you can really do it inexpensively, and if you really know your numbers and you know your clients, you can really leverage some serious margin. And that's what I'd really try to do. The other thing, Tony, that I think is important, when you know your audience, I also know who the influencers are in that household. So in doing my research, much like I'm sure in your household, we as men love to believe that, hey, we make all the decisions, we're macho and we wear the pants in the family. But the reality is our wives are constantly in our ears influencing the decisions we make for our homes and our families. It's no different in my neighborhood. I know the wives are the ones that are reaching out to their husband and say, hey, call David, have him help us with the yard. So when I write my monthly lawn PSAs to help our neighbors, I write it in a feminine voice, right? That's the marketing person in me. I'm not writing it like you and I are talking. I'm writing it with a tone that is more focused on a female voice and female things that they would look for. So, for example, if I were to write, I'm writing my article right now for spring. If I was writing for a man, I would say, hey, as spring approaches, achieving a lawn that reflects the standard of your home requires more than basic care. Work with me, Lawn Strong, and help and allow me to apply the right fertilizer for your specific grass type. That's a decent copy line. It's not bad, but that's for a man. I know that the women are the ones that are making this decision. So when I write this, and I'm going to write it, it's going to sound like this. With spring on the horizon, a lawn that complements an exceptional home deserves thoughtful professional care. David Luna from Lawn Strong, your neighbor, provides tailored fertilization for your grass type and refined weed management, so your lawn remains healthy, polished, and consistently beautiful at a higher standard. That's going to resonate with the woman of that home, and they're the ones that are going to influence their husbands to call me. So that's the kind of stuff I love to share with people. It's like, hey, this is what I used to do for a living when I worked in corporate America. Now I'm using these same skills in my business, and it makes a huge difference. I tell my son-in-law all the time, so when I show up to a person's home, I'm at their service, right? So I'm very humble. I'm very focused on service, and I shake their hands firmly. I talk to them and ask them a lot of questions. I compliment their home. I'm always aware of who I'm speaking to, and watch my tone, watch my language. Obviously, all those things makes a difference. Makes a huge difference. And a lot of my clients become friends. They're like, they call me and say, hey, saw something you might like, or here's something that I'm thinking about doing. What do you think? I enjoy that kind of relationship.
And what else do you do exactly besides the face? Because you mentioned your spring advertising. What do you do besides? Do you only do the Facebook groups? Or are you doing like physical door hangers? Like how do you go about that?
In the Facebook group, that's the only thing, because I'm focused on my neighborhood. I'm not looking to go outside of my neighborhood. So I've got 650 homes that are potential clients, and right now I only have 75 that I want to grow to 95. So there's still a lot of room for opportunity in my neighborhood. So I only use the Facebook page. That's it. I don't want to go outside. The 3 or 4 clients I have are inside of a 5-mile radius, but the majority of my clients are within a half mile to 3/4 of a mile radius. So route density is tight, very tight.
And that's just so cool that it's so cool in my mind, to think about, we're over here in Georgia, and, a really cool guy that's, you're now a friend of mine. I didn't know you, but I know you now. And you're all over there in Texas, behind a spreader, listen to me talk for some reason, just, a regular lawn guy. That's cool.
It is cool. And that's the beauty of our business. I will tell you that it is very rare in any profession that you openly share the secrets to your success. And the thing I love about our community in lawn care, you guys, Naylor, Corey Ballard and Leroy Maines, Andrew Martinez, people I listen to regularly, you guys are openly sharing how you made yourself successful. And that's unheard of. That's not common. And I love it. I love that we can speak openly about what do we do in our businesses that make us successful. We can openly talk about faith. I can tell you another thing. You and I share politics in common. I've heard you talk about that.
Yes.
I love it. I absolutely love the fact that we are transparent and the information is for the taking, right? I can't wait. I told my wife, I said, I don't know when, but here soon, maybe this will be the year, I want to go to an expo, and I want to meet these people in person that I listen to every single day that are coming through my ear. And like I said at the beginning, I feel like I've known you forever. because I've listened to so many of your podcasts. I look forward to actually meeting you and others in person one day.
Yeah,
And
I think this could be a great year to come. I mean, we're about to have a baby. Things are crazy in my world, but I do want to get out to that Equip Expo. I do intend on doing that.
Yep.
I haven't started booking any hotel or anything yet, but I think it would be a great year because we would love to see you and hang out with you, and it would be so cool. I mean, you get to meet hundreds of anybody that you can see online. If you come to the Equip Expo, the biggest one, you can pretty much see anybody and everybody, if that makes sense.
Yep. I mean, you, Cornell Mac, I just love the way you guys walk and breathe your faith journey out loud and intertwine it into your business. It's such a breath of fresh air from what corporate America is like.
And promo code Tony gets you 50% off. So hey.
I'll use it. But, so a lot more I can go into, but that in a nutshell, that's really what I wanted to share with your listeners, is that you don't have to be big to be successful and make decent money. 6 figures is a very respectful income to make in any business. And you can be intentional about how you go about it and be very successful. And I'm living proof that you don't have to be young to make that happen. You can pick a niche in our industry and focus on just that. And you don't have to be all things to all people. I get asked all the time, hey, can you redo a bed for me and pull all these plants out and replant? The answer is yes, I can do it, but I don't want to do it because that's really not my focus. But I can put you in contact with people who can. So I've got relationships here in my area with other landscapers that are full service, and I send them the business all the time.
That's awesome, and it's so cool because the charts, like on the back end of my podcast, most of the guys that listen are my age to your age, so. Yep. I think that people just tend to think in their mind that it's probably really young people listen to it, but it's me, 35, into people in their 60s. Like that is the main, the 45, 50s. Those are the main people that listen to the podcast. So I thought that was really interesting.
Thank you for sharing that. I've always wondered what the average,
at least for mine, obviously I can't see that for everyone's, but that's how it is for mine, which I think is interesting,
Well, I think what you're finding as you get in the older demographic, the 35 to my age, is you have people that are working in a job that pays the bills, but aren't necessarily happy about what they're doing. And they're just like I used to be. I was like, man, I'm a little scared to take that step and start my own business, or take that step and really put some faith in my own self to see if I can actually do what I do for corporate America, can actually translate that into something for me. And I'm living proof that you can. I learned a lot of great things in my 38 years, and I'm applying every single thing into our business, and it's working.
That's awesome. I mean, thank you so much for taking your time, because it's been many reschedules, guys. They just hear this and they think we just, it just works out on a cloud, but it kind of doesn't work like that. Right. And that's how it is every time. I mean, you're up, 6:30 in the morning where you live, and doing this, and we've had to, over the holidays and all that is always hard lining up with people's schedules, but you saw enough value in it that you kept after it, and we made it happen. And you have my phone number now, all that. I'm just a regular lawn guy. We just use this podcast as a means to help communicate, just like a cell phone, just like anything else.
Right.
And so that's cool. So that's really what I use it for. I mean, I make $0 doing it. So you have my number, and it would really be cool if if I could meet you at the expo this time. We both need to start thinking about it. I know it's a pretty far, even a little farther for you than it is for me. But getting there and the hotel is really the only. And last year I stayed 20 minutes south, and there's hotels everywhere there for cheap price. So it's, if you're willing to do that. But staying really close is nice, though. I don't like staying downtown, but right by the expo, that is like optimum if you know, one of those ones where you can almost walk. Because after you traveled however far it is for you and 8 hours for me, even farther for you, the last thing you want to do is, you know, every morning, early morning, you know, driving 20 minutes. I mean, you can't, you know, interstate and the traffic and all that. I mean, it's fine, but and I still may do that just because of it does make it very easy to get something. But anyway,
Sure.
so those are some tips there. Like if you look on the map in any direction, but right by the expo is premium. You know, if we start looking soon, you can get those ones. You know.
Yeah, and that's what I plan on doing because I really want to attend this year and just meet some of you folks that, you know, it sounds kind of corny, but I mean, you guys are my heroes. I get to listen to y'all every day and you're like, yep, you're validating what I'm doing is correct. You're helping me figure things out before I make big mistakes on what, you know, I was going to do, but now I'm going to do different because of what you said, all of that. And, you know, I've at 61 years old, I'd be like a starstruck probably groupie if I ever do get to meet you guys.
No, it won't. It might that's just in your mind. When you actually get there, it'll just be like anyone else that you meet. And but it is cool because whoever makes your fertilizer, your spreaders, you know, all these, you'll be able to talk to like actual like reps from your area and like all those sort of stuff. And that is who knows what connections you make like that, even on the straight up business side. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And then also, you know, the networking, also the fun, also the trip is a write-off for you. So, you know, think about all these things, you know, so it's not, you know, that's the cool thing even for me. It doesn't cost me like it does when me and my family go to the beach per se. You know what I'm saying? Because technically it's kind of, you know, it's lowering my tax liability. I mean, it kind of doesn't really cost me much, hardly money at all, you know?
Exactly. Yeah.
So that is another thing, you know, to think about. That is also makes it another reason why all you guys out there, I think you should come, because it's, you know, just like if you buy a mower or something, and that can be helpful, but think about the benefit of doing this, just like buying a mower, less than buying a mower. You can travel out to this, get the same write-off, you know, keep up with your, you know, your expenses and everything, and it's completely legal. I mean, it's a straight up business trip, you know what I mean? And that, you know, that's cool.
No, I plan on doing that, and I look forward to the day. And I appreciate you giving me your number. I've got questions, and I would love to pick your brain on regarding, you know, expanding my business, scaling my business. And I've got people that are asking now, hey, how can I maybe open up a Lawn Strong in my neighborhood where I could maybe partner with you? And I'm like, I have no clue how to do that, but I'll reach out for sure. I appreciate you giving me that permission.
Well, thank you, bud. Thank you so much for coming on this morning. Me and the kids, I'm going to help them. Probably going to help make their breakfast or stuff, and you need to go as well. But man, it's going to be a great day, and I just I so appreciate you. You know, like you never know who you run to, but it's encouraging because, you know, we get super busy over the holidays and making some changes in my business, making it better, which is great. But then it's like, you know, it's been great. You know, I haven't made a ton of podcasts here super lately, but you still been persistent to reach out, and that's what's so cool about this is almost every day an email comes in from a guy, you know, that has you know, doing this as a side business or whatever. Almost every single day, you know, I say every single day, but probably once a week, you know, and more than that in the on season, you know, that's what kind of like keeps me doing it, to be honest, of the podcast, because I don't make any money, and you're just, a podcast is not really the same as like when you make YouTube videos. There's no, you know, direct comments or anything. You don't know if you're just talking to yourself and just putting it out there wherever, you know. That's just kind of how it feels. So it's like, man, should I keep being the weird guy talking to myself in my truck or whatever? But then
Make an impact, man. I tell you for a fact, you're making an impact, and I love when your podcast pops up in my sequence of podcasts to listen to. And I mean, you got great content, Tony, and you share a lot of wonderful stories. I love the way you integrate, you know, your experiences with your dad, your younger brother, and I love now how you included River in this. This is fantastic. I love it. Great parenting, but I have to tell you, I wish more dads would realize the impact that they have to their children when they include them they do for a living.
Well, thank you so much for coming on today, Bud. We're out here, River and Willow, and I don't have any special info that other people don't have, but hopefully, I'm just another guy out here going at it every day, just like you, and that can be encouraging. I'm not a corporate guy. I'm hands on the mower, and so the kids are out here and they're enjoying doing it with you. River, Willow, sign off. Tell them thank you for coming on the podcast, and I'm going to switch over and let River go on the mic and thank you for coming on too. Hang on a second. All right. Here, River. Anything else? Last things you want to add, River?
Yeah. So last question. To be able to do like 4 lawns, are they like next door to each other?
They typically are 1 or 2 houses over to each other, so I don't have to walk very far to get to the next one.
Yeah.
Anything else, River?
No.
I love it, Tony. Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. I'm going to send you my social media platforms if you want to attach.
Yes, I'm going to put them in the description, like I always do. Sorry, I forgot to mention that. Send me that, and then also if you want to send me a picture, like your logo or like a picture of your truck, I'll put it as a little picture of the podcast. That's fun too as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll do that.
Well, thank you, bud. Appreciate you, and we'll stay in touch. You have my number. Text me anytime.
Bye.
Likewise. Continue blessings on the new one that's coming.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. Talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Why was River crying?
All right, guys. There you have it. We had an awesome guy on the podcast, and me and the kids doing it, and we're working through all the things, working through parenting and sharing mics and everything while we're on doing it too as well. But me and both my kids are here. I am so grateful that it is winter, but for some reason here in Georgia right now, usually it's cold right now, but we've had a few 70-degree days, which I love, which is great. And so I'm actually going to reorganize my garage today because once we get on season, it's hard to do that. So those are something I'm working on right now. There's a lot of things happen in the business a lot of changes. Like not anything huge. It's still me solo, all that. But I got rid of a few properties and added some more, and some ones sold, and I got some different ones. So I'll have to talk about all that. Changes I want to make in the future to keep refining it. But it's the best it's ever been right now. Just because I'm doing the hard work, I'm having the hard conversations with customers. I'm doing all the things, right? Meeting with old ones, and yeah. But right now, we're going to get back. I got to keep tallying up my taxes because I'm trying to get some of my totals together before the baby gets here. Yeah. Because our tax lady can start processing things like February. So, yeah. Working on that. Even Saturday mornings are a good time to get some things straightened out in the office, guys. Reply to emails, do all the things. Let's try to do that all the while throughout the week and stuff too. Questions people have, whatever. But, yeah, so that's what I'm working on. And tonight we got a little special local meetup. I hadn't even mentioned that. It's secret, but, man, we may or may not be hitting up with some guys around Georgia, hitting up a local Chinese buffet. So, hey, we'll have to get some coverage from that. All right, see you guys.
Bye.